and the way you handled your success. You know, it's just awesome to see. So that's what the purpose of this is to try to share some of that success mindset and passion and inspiration for the next generation.
No,
And
I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate the players being interested. And I just think, you know, obviously my career went in one direction, but it could have gone a lot of ways. And I think that volleyball and being part of a team, and there are so many lessons that, you know, not that you take for granted, because I didn't, but that certain things, you know, until the moment you're like, wow, I just really am grateful for those experiences and opportunities that seemed very like specific in the moment for what we were doing, but really like I mean, they're life lessons that are always valuable and are so helpful. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
excited.
and it's crazy how quick it goes, right? And you don't think about it in the moment, right? And then like sometimes it takes a decade, and you like look back and you're like, man, like that was just like a special experience with a special group of people. And you know, sometimes when you're in it, you know, like some of my players now, like it's just they go through the motions, you know. And again, like that's what the purpose is for today's talk. And I just wanted to provide a platform that you could just speak directly to them, you know.
This before, you know, people look at what I do or what they see publicly, you know, which is 1% of my life and is snippets when, in terms of press and stuff like that. And I think they just assume that everything's always good all the time, um, and that it's just easy to like be in this glamorous life or whatever. Is taking each day to like really be tuned in with myself, and that the smallest like idea or inspiration or whatever like can change your whole day, whether that's like, okay, today I want to like watercolor, today I want to learn how to build a chair, today calling, sorry, someone called.
No worries.
um you can have, you can have the smallest thought idea, and it can really get you out of a funk. So I feel like inspired living is really about being in touch with yourself and not taking any piece of joy as something that's too small. Like I think that no caller ID, rude. Um, that no piece of joy is too small, and it can really change your day, change your week, change your month, change your year. Like something to kind of change their path in life or what they thought, and they've been unafraid to take that leap. And I know that in the moment it's scary, and anything that is worth it has a moment of discomfort, but then through that you can really like change the course of your mindset and everything. So I think inspired living is about listening to yourself and doing what feels right in the moment, and that can lead to more moments.
Yeah, no, I love that. Absolutely love that. I mean, you know, my podcast that I started in COVID in shutdown it's all about that. It's all about living an inspired life. And I was thinking of you, you know, because like there's no other person that comes to mind that's just like grabbed life, just went for it. Even when and we'll talk about volleyball in a second, but like
Yeah.
even when you were playing, like you were just like, I'm not tipping, coach, I'm hitting. Like I'm going.
I'm like, but why? If you can just smack it.
But I just feel
Yeah.
like you do that with life. You just go for it, and you know that whole question, living an inspired life, or what does inspired living mean? Like I really want people to understand that. And I'm no master of this. I'm just curious about it, right? Because to
Yeah.
me, I think that's the goal.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's not just
And I'm
winning.
not, and I'm not, a, I'm not a master of it either. Like, I
Yeah,
think we all have to find our own way, and
right. That's right.
yeah. But to pay attention to when you feel fulfilled and like when you feel like there's a spark in you is
Yes.
important.
Yes, exactly. And right now, like, I just feel like that might be kind of difficult for a lot of people. You know, especially with social media, you know, and I don't really want to get into all that because that's a different conversation, but you know, just I love what you said, just following that something that gives you a pep in your step, you know,
Yeah. And that
and really
doesn't, it
following.
doesn't need to be, it's, nothing's too small, you know, like that's
Yeah.
important.
And so like how do you stay inspired on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, now I have a daughter, so it's just like she is she keeps me inspired just because I get to see her experience things. Really kind of that same thing, like trying to do something every day that puts an extra pep, whether that's, you know, doing yoga or writing in my journal or just not necessarily just being creative, but doing something that is a little bit different every day if you can.
Love that.
So,
And congratulations to the addition of your family too. So proud of you.
thank you. Thanks.
Yes. And can you talk about anyone specific, like who inspires you now?
It's hard. Like, I don't, I, there's so many people, and I
I
think
know.
that, and it's for different reasons, you know what I mean? It could,
Yeah.
there's so many women to look up to, and um, not only that are famous or in the public eye, but just walking down the street in New
Yeah.
York and seeing someone just like in the middle of COVID, just like killing their outfit. You know what I mean? Just like, and you're just like, you're clearly like probably not going anywhere. Like you're just doing that for yourself. Like you look awesome. And like people might think you look a bit crazy, but I love it. Like even just like people that I don't know inspire me on the street.
I love that.
Um, I saw like a video of like a UPS worker just like having a little boogie to herself in the snow. And it's like little things like that. I
For
think
sure.
that every day we can find new people that inspire and encourage us to like bring something out in ourselves or yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Could you speak on Serena Williams for a second? Because she's
I was
so
gonna bring up Serena, yeah.
yeah, because she inspires me just like for her incredible legendary career. But I know you guys are tight, so could you just speak on her for a second?
Yeah, I mean I'm like, you know, yeah, we're friends, but when I'm in the stands I'm just like an embarrassing fan. Um, and I don't know, like obviously I'm not comparing myself even in the slightest percentage to Serena Williams as an athlete, but I when I watch her play tennis, it's like that is when I most miss playing volleyball, cuz like I feel like that fire and just like seeing her, which is she's just like she's not a freak of nature, but like the most epic natural being that like could be on this planet, in my opinion. Like just watching her, like she's a machine, and just like the passion that is behind her when she's playing, but then also as a friend and as a person, and like when you go to karaoke with her, like she has that same fire. Like after a loss, like she also like takes that to heart, and she still cares, and she's still, you know, there's not anything jaded about her. And I don't know, I feel that, like I'm sure that you remember like when I would make mistakes while playing, I was really hard on myself, and in certain ways that would hurt my game, and I think that's something that we worked on a lot, and that you would, you know, gee, like no, we're not going there right now. Like, I can just remember your face and just be like, shut up, coach, in my head. Not that I would ever say that to you. But just like, you know, that when you're nervous still, like, you still care about what you're doing. And I think I love watching Serena for that sense. I can feel like, I don't know, that I would have hoped I had a little bit of that in me when I was a player.
Yeah, well, you did. I guess I brought her up because, and now we can get into volleyball stuff, but
Yeah,
I brought her up because both you guys remind me of that allowing yourself to go for it mentality.
right.
You know, like she just allowed herself to go for it for her dreams and passions. You're allowing yourself to go for it in your career. And I think that's a big topic for everybody, myself included. All of us, we need to allow ourselves kind of
Yeah.
get out of our own way, so to speak, you know?
Yeah, and like you know, I've always said I think that a lot of athletes in general are focused people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're naturally determined and whatever. But I think that if you get tunnel vision on one thing that you want to do and you kind of don't allow yourself to be open and therefore like ready to other opportunities, then you can miss out in that sense. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's something that was really a blessing from that my mom gave me was like,
Mm,
because she started modeling so young, and you know, like I wanted to work even in high school, and she was like, I had like one-off jobs in high school, but I wasn't fully signed or working full time. And she was like, you know, we're privileged that you don't have to be doing a job like that right now to support our family, and therefore she didn't want all my eggs in one basket of like, if my modeling career doesn't happen after high school, like I need to have other possibilities. And volleyball was a huge, you know, was a huge possibility that I could have, you know, gone and played in college. So was horseback riding, and I loved art. I could have gone to art school. I would have gone to cooking school, but I ended up studying criminal psychology.
that's right.
Um,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, and like she was just like, I just had a mom that really never like said no, or like that's or made me feel weird about different interests that I had.
Right.
Um, and that she was really set on, you know, you're not going to sign to an agency until you're done with high school. And I think that let me really be more focused on the things that I wanted to do otherwise. And that's how I could learn so much from volleyball and everything that I did, because I cared and I focused on it, and I wanted to be the best that I could be in whatever I did. I didn't want to half-ass. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah,
Half-ass it.
you can say whatever you want.
Uh, so yeah,
I
and
love
I
that.
think yeah, and then, you know, whatever it was, taking an acting class here or there or whatever. So that, I don't know if you remember this, but I'm going to tell this story. Sorry to cut
Yeah.
you off, and there's
No, go
more
for it.
questions, but so I wasn't working, like, and then one day I was driving home from to the American Film Institute, and I'm doing my graduation film. I want you to audition. And I was like, what? And everyone should remember that, like, no one knew who I was in high school. Obviously, I wasn't working. I was just a normal high school kid, and like, she just, I guess, saw me in the car and like knew that she wanted to cast me for her like graduation film. So I went and I auditioned for the movie, and this is in the middle of one of my seasons with Aaron. And I got the part. It was a short film. I think we filmed for 3 months, but um, it was something that, you know, I had never acted before, but I had to be open and confident and just kind of like take the leap. And there are, again, times that were awkward and times that were weird because I didn't know what I was doing, but you just have to learn as you go, be really aware of everything around you, take in not only being an actor, like even now with what I do, like I'm not just a model. Like I want to look at the lighting team and learn about what they're doing. I want to learn about the set design and props, and I learn something new from every part of that set all day. You know what I mean? And that was kind of the same with that. I just took it as I went and tried to take in as much information as I could and as I went. But I also respect you as a coach so much because even though you definitely didn't like just let me think that I could like whatever go film a movie for 3 months and like come in and out of practice whenever I wanted, like you were still like, no, you're a player here.
Yeah.
And like you're gonna, I don't care how long you're filming, if it starts at 3 a.m, like you're gonna come to practice, and if you miss this you're not starting in the next game, and like, you know, things like that that you I was ready when it came, and then I like we figured out like how to go about it. And I think also as a coach to realize that your players, not everyone is just going to become a volleyball player in the end.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you were also like open to realizing that we're all going to like maybe go to different jobs and go and have different. I had to work harder because I, at that point, had to homeschool for 3 months or do independent study from school, and then I was still practicing, and yeah.
That's so awesome. Thank you for sharing that story. And
Yeah, no worries.
I'm like going back through that time because I was a young coach at the time, and I was trying to figure out how to like, you know, get the best out of all you guys and make it a
Yeah.
fun experience, and also teach life lessons that you could take beyond the court, you know. So
Yeah.
it means a lot to me to hear that from you. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, let's jump into volleyball because that's why I wanted you on here. So thinking back to when you were playing competitive volleyball, not just at club, but at Pally too, at high school, what did you love most about it?
It's hard to put words to it because it's really like a feeling that I miss. Um, like you're really looking forward because a lot of the girls are going to start, you know, applying to schools or getting accepted or trying out or whatever, and it's like it just looks so far in advance. But like to really appreciate and like and not that I'm sure they are fully in it, but like take it in and like really um appreciate it while you're in it, because it's not like, you know, obviously you think it's easy, like, oh, I can just go like hop into a beach game right now, or like, oh, I could go find like a volleyball club maybe for adults, but like it's not as easy as you think once you're out of that system, or a place where you have an opportunity to do that. And even if you did, even if I were to go to the beach right now and join in a game, it's just not the same as when you know everyone on your team, you know about each other as players, you can start to build that chemistry and a trust and something behind just being on the court together, you know what I mean? And yes. I think that that's really hard to come by again. There's almost nothing like it else in life, you know what I mean? You can do so many other things. But that's hard to replicate.
It is, and it's crazy like how you realize that after, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that's why
I don't know, you just think like, oh, like, I mean, even now, I think, like, I hope, not that I'm gonna, like, push her, but, like, I'm definitely gonna, like, roll a volleyball, like, towards my daughter in the next couple of years and, like, hope she picks it up. But, like, I'm not forcing anything. But even that, I'm just, like, that will never be the same to me. Like, yeah, my daughter will be playing volleyball, but, like, I can't be on the team. You know what I mean? So it's, like, yeah, just, that's what I miss. I miss, like, it's hard to explain that feeling that you get to have when you're really, like, on a team, unless
Yeah.
you're going to go to the Olympics or whatever and that becomes your career, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
But
No, I love that, G. That's great. And carry that a little bit more. Like, what lessons did you learn from your experience that carried over into your everyday life?
so many. I mean, which starts at, like, being on time and, like,
Right.
respecting the fact that even if your job seems like self-employed or singular, like, we all, or if you're coworkers or on a equal level with other people that you work with in terms of the job title, no one is more important than someone else on that team. And, like, I always take that into consideration when I am working, because, like, name and, like, those are things that I learned from being on a volleyball team, where
Right.
it's like, yeah, you might have the kill, but, like, that kill's not possible without every other part of what just happened on the court, whether that's an actual play or keeping your voice up if you're on the bench, you know what I mean? And I think just the repetitiveness of doing that, and
Yeah.
and the importance that you put, and Coach Gray, and you guys were my the coaches that I worked with the most in my volleyball career.
Yeah. Shout out. That's great.
Shout out Coach Gray. We just want to make you proud.
Yeah.
But yeah, you played for Coach Gray too, right?
I did back when I was growing up,
That's
about
so
13,
crazy.
13 years old. Like, yeah, he's just a mentor, you know.
Yeah, no.
A
But
staple.
I think you both, like, you weren't pushover coaches. Like, I still respect the shit out of you guys. You know what I mean? I still call you coach. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? 10 years later, and it's like, that is something that everyone can carry through their life. Like, the people that are your mentors that help you through life are, like, that's what life is. It's like,
Yeah.
that's what builds everything
For
that you
sure.
learn from.
And would you agree with this one, G? Because I'm thinking, like, one of your biggest strengths back then, and I feel like it is today too, is that you can relate to others so well, and that you can meet them on their level first. You know, I just feel like that's a big skill set. Does that resonate with you?
Thank you. 100%. Like, I think, you know, when we are club players, you don't go to school with every girl that you play with that season. You don't know them. I mean, obviously some girls, but you don't know most of the girls through childhood. And it's like, you're all kind of put together like a band, and it's like, okay, now go perform together. And you have to put value in each person. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you have to go into that situation, like, wanting to make the effort to connect with everyone on a certain level, because, like, that's just going to make the whole team better. And like I said, not just the technical parts, but there's so much to do with chemistry in a team building and
Very emotional. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think that social dynamic is huge, and it definitely carries forward into whatever career people choose, you know? So yeah, I appreciate you saying that. What advice would you give to the next generation of players?
Like I said, appreciate it while you're in it.
Yeah.
And I guess I would say, like, should be kind of approached with the same mindset of professionalism. And my mom always said, if, you know, in my job, the looks are part of it, right? But she always said, if you're not the nicest, most hardworking girl in that room, the industry in the world is huge. Pretty doesn't really matter, right? Like, and I think that the other, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Go ahead.
That's with whatever career you're going into. Like, there's always like a baseline for whoever you're going to be interacting or even competing against for the same job. And so if you're not the prettiest, sorry, if you're not the nicest and most hardworking person in the room, there's going to be someone prettier, nicer, and more hardworking. So in other jobs, smarter, nicer, and more hardworking, stronger, nicer, and more hardworking, more like I just think that like talent and whatever that baseline is, like if you're hardworking and you're someone that's cool to be around, that sometimes can surpass your qualification of that job. Does that make
Wow.
sense?
Yes.
I'm not access to the fact that on a lot of days, like I'm the person that's gonna go one more step beyond or be just like nicer to be around, and like that can make a small difference. And then like the industry will take you from there because people talk, people
Yeah.
are all friends, people, you know, will push for you if you made a small difference in their day. And I just think that like that goes for any industry that you're in or whatever's important in that industry. Um, that you can't think that just because you're talented or smart doesn't mean that like you can be disrespectful and like people are just going to keep you around because you're good at what you do.
That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Yeah, I love it. I love that. I think that's a really good segue to mindset. I just have a few questions on mindset that I want you to kind of share your success mindset, which you're doing right now. So like, how did you create and maintain your mindset of success? Which kind of carries over to just what you just said, you know, just like
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
attitude.
honestly, it's kind of that, and then it's building on that from there, which is like you have to always be ready for the next thing. And I think that staying inspired and being inspired helps so much with that because you if you're always learning and you don't settle in terms of thinking that you know everything, there's nothing left to learn, then
Mm,
you can always build on what you already do because you're adding more tools to your toolbox, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And then from there you can like do more things. At this point, like I've pretty much almost done every job within modeling that would equal success. But it's like from there, now my success to me, making a conscious effort to say, like, what inspires me? What genuinely will people see in terms of creating a product or um, a series or any, you know, any type of output to the world that seems genuine because it's something that I have thought about and worked towards and learned about that then will make sense to the people that are following me. You know
and
what I
create
mean?
and create positive impact. You
Yeah.
know, and that's why I'm so proud of you and so inspired by you, because I'll tell everyone a quick story. Like when you had, you know, Carlos and me fly out to New York and do that do the Reebok event, and you
Yeah.
launched your line. I just want to tell this quick story because it was so cool, because you put shoes on everybody, like the staff, all the kids that were participating. And there was this moment, this which goes back to like allowing yourself to go for it, because like I said before, all you did was hit. You didn't tip or anything, you just hit. Do you remember the very last thing that we did at that clinic? So Annie McCroskey was there, and she set you, and you were like, "Coach, I just want to take a swing," but there was like a bunch of kids on the other side, and I was just like, "Oh my god," because the net was like this. Do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
remember?
yeah,
You,
blessed.
you just went up, and Andy gave you like the perfect set. You like crushed this ball. I was just like, oh my god, I hope a kid doesn't get hurt. This kid
Broken.
on the other side stepped in and like
Oh my
dug
god,
you
that was sick!
like perfectly. Like it was like a sports center moment. Like like it just
Dug
went
it
up.
like that.
Yeah, just boom. And like I remember everyone just went and just hugged her, and you just ran over to her. You're like, oh my god, that was amazing.
Yeah, no, that was, I mean, first we should talk about Annie, because if people don't know, Annie was the setter that I played with, and was a setter that I had so much chemistry with, like
Yeah, yeah,
as a friend, but so like she was just butter for me. Like
yeah, for sure.
but that was 10 years later. We hadn't played volleyball together in 10 years. And it's not
Crazy.
just muscle memory. It's like chemistry is a muscle memory. Like
Mm-hmm.
the feeling that I get when like Annie is setting that ball is still there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And even thinking about that, and not that I can even jump as high or swing as hard, and like I think, you know, after that day I'm sore for like a few days because it's just muscles that I don't use, but it's there and I can do it. But yeah, to like put yourself in a situation where you're like, you give yourself the tools to then hopefully give an opportunity to other people, and then to see that kid who you know, their coaches were telling us that like they like volleyball, but it's like a thing, it's an activity that they do at school, and like they don't really take it seriously. And that after that day with us, like they really started to care because we put them in a situation that pushed them for a second, and they saw what volleyball could be on a higher level. And kind of when kids are more focused but also like forced for a second into just like, probably just no one even tried to hit them that hard
Right.
before.
Right.
And like when you just go off instinct for a second, like she just dug it. It was just, it was like magic. And I was like, oh